saw a really shocking statistic today that over 1 in 5 people on universal credit rarely or never cover their essentials. If you're on universal credit, you might be feeling like this, just like 42-year-old Damio from Wigan. Now, it's a relentless struggle for survival for him, a daily battle against the rise of the cost of living. Damio is one of the thousands in the UK relying on charity support just to get by. Every 13 seconds, a person receives an emergency food bank parcel from the Trussell Trust, and Damio is part of this demographic. A former carer, Damio's life took a drastic turn when his mental health started to deteriorate and he had to give up his job, his source of stability and income, which meant that he relied heavily on universal credit, or for short UC. However, the UC he receives, which is a mere £368 after housing costs, is barely enough to cover his basic essentials. So let me break this down so that you can see how this money just isn't even enough to live on. So he gets £700, and like I was saying, after the housing costs, he's left with £368, which is then divided between food and utilities. But because of the rise in bills, energy costs are now 39% of his UC standard allowance. And if it wasn't for food banks, then he wouldn't have any food to eat. Damio also has arrears in council tax and rent. And the cold reality is that Damio has to sacrifice the luxury of hot water, lighting, and living in darkness and cold, as he can't afford to top up his prepayment meter. So just think, this winter he faces the daunting prospect of enduring another harsh winter and its consequential health risks. Support available for people in Damio's situation varies significantly, and it depends on the local arrangements. It's a bit like a postcode lottery of sorts. While Damio spends almost £30 a month on water, some water companies offer significant discounts to those with low incomes. In a similar vein, his council tax discount doesn't cover the full amount due to his geographic location, which leaves him with an additional £20 to find every month. Now, the thing is, Damio understands budgeting better than most people. He's trimmed down his costs wherever possible, so he only spends £10 on his mobile phone bill and £25 on broadband. But when the incoming funds are stretched so thin, budgeting's like a band-aid, like a plaster, not a cure. Every month, Damio faces a shortfall of almost £260, and that's before accounting for his repayments towards his debts. It's heartbreaking that people in the UK are going through this hardship, and it's no wonder that so many people have just plummeted into debt. The cost of living rises are a cruel reality for many who are just financially treading water. If you're in this situation and you're financially struggling, then it really is worth looking into whether you're entitled to any extra benefits. You may be entitled to a cost of living payment, and I'll leave you a link to that just below this video. If you have 3 or more children or an illness which requires lots of water and you're on universal credit, then you may be entitled to the Watershore scheme, which caps your water bill prices. Now, I've also got a whole video dedicated to extra benefits that you can claim right here, where I talk about all of the other much needed help that could be available to you. So click over there and I'll see you in the next video.